Silence descended upon the Galactic Council hall. 1,000 alien eyes from 1,000 different worlds were locked onto the glowing screen floating in the center of the chamber. The words that pulsed there, in a stark, terrifying red, were simple. We invaded Earth. No one spoke. No one dared to move. Even the great Varn ambassador, Relthar, a being renowned for his unshakable calm, seemed frozen. His voice, usually a soothing baritone, was a mere whisper when he finally spoke. Repeat that message. The screen blinked, confirming the horrifying report from the Outer Rim fleet. A holographic image flickered to life, showing a trembling alien soldier. His armor was cracked, his face streaked with ash, his eyes wide with a terror that transcended species. We attacked the human homeworld, he stammered, his voice breaking. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Dozens of alien races, diplomats and warriors alike shouted over one another. Who gave this insane order? Why would we ever provoke that cursed planet? Do you have any idea what you've done? Relthar raised a single clawed hand, and the cacophony ceased. Silence, he commanded, his yellow eyes narrowing into piercing slits. Tell us everything. The soldier on the hollow swallowed, the motion visible even through the flickering transmission. We approached them in peace at first, he explained. We demanded they surrender their oceans and their resource-rich lands for the greater good of the Council. They refused. He paused, a tremor running through his voice. So, we landed troops. We made an example of one of their cities. And then, another counselor snapped impatiently. Then what happened? The soldier's voice dropped to a near inaudible whisper. They fought back, harder than we could have ever imagined. They learned our weapons. They scavenged our fallen ships for materials. Within hours, they were building new weapons, using our own technology against us. The chamber fell silent once more, a heavy, dreadful quiet that felt colder than deep space. Relthar leaned forward, his entire body tense. You're telling us that the humans adapted? The soldier nodded grimly. Yes, Ambassador. Every time we destroyed something, they rebuilt it stronger. Every time we struck one down, 10 more rose to take their place. They have no fear, no hesitation, no limit. A collective shiver ran through the assembled delegates. Beings who had witnessed the birth and death of stars, who had fought in countless wars across the galaxy, now looked profoundly uneasy. Counselor Zith, from a species known for its cold logic, spoke next, his voice uncharacteristically trembling. How many of your fleet remain? The soldier lowered his head in shame. None, sir. The skies of Earth are burning with the wreckage of our ships. The humans, they are coming. The hollow transmission shifted, displaying a chaotic scene above a vibrant blue planet. Burning alien vessels plummeted into the oceans like dying comets, and swarming through the debris were human fighters, some crudely patched together with alien metal, flying with the fury of angry insects, impossibly fast and fearless. One ship, a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien tech, had a simple message painted in stark white across its hull. For Earth. Relthar's voice was barely a whisper now, filled with a dawning horror. So they turned our invasion into their declaration of war. The soldier nodded one last time. And they're building more, bigger ships, stronger weapons. They said they're coming for the Council. Silence. Utter, complete silence. For the first time in millennia, the mighty Galactic Council was speechless. And then, cutting through the static of the dying transmission, a new voice emerged. It was human. It was calm, steady, and colder than the void between galaxies. To all who came to our world, we are done waiting now. It's your turn. The hollow went dark, plunging the hall into shadow, and the Council, the supposed rulers of the galaxy, could only stare into the darkness, paralyzed by the terrible truth of what they had unleashed. The message ended, but the silence in the Galactic Council hall was heavy, absolute. No one dared to breathe. The only sound was the faint hum of the great hollow screen, its light painting their stunned faces in shifting colors. Finally, Counselor Zith broke the quiet, his voice a trembling whisper. What do they mean? They are coming for us. Relthar, a seasoned strategist with scars that told stories of 100 battles, looked at him sharply. It means exactly what it sounds like, he said, his tone grim. They are leaving their planet. They are coming into space. But they don't have ships. Their level of technology. Zitha's protest died in his throat as a new signal blinked onto the screen. It wasn't a recording this time. It was a live feed. The image resolved, showing a small moon near the outer rim, a routine mining outpost. Alien workers moved about their tasks, calm, oblivious. Then, chaos erupted. Alarms blared, their digital screams echoing through the council hall. Red lights flashed, strobing across the panicked faces on the screen. The sensors went wild, and then they saw it. Something had just ripped its way out of hyperspace. Not one ship. Dozens, maybe hundreds. They were monstrosities, a grotesque fusion of human and alien design, welded together like creatures born of steel and fire. Painted crudely on their sides, stark white against the scorched metal, were symbols. UNSC, Terran Navy, Earth Fleet 1. Zith could only whisper one word. Impossible. The feed zoomed in, focusing on the bridge of the lead vessel. A human captain stood there, her eyes as cold and calm as the void outside. Target confirmed. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Fire. Beams of pure blue energy tore across the screen. The alien moonbase, the workers, the entire celestial body. It all vanished in a silent, blinding storm of light. And then, the transmission was lost, replaced by static. Gasps and shouts filled the council hall. Some screamed for defenses to be raised, others for an immediate, unconditional surrender. But Relthar just stared at the lingering afterimage of smoke on the holoscreen. He spoke softly, almost to himself, a horrifying realization dawning on him. They learned hyperspace travel in weeks. A younger adjutant beside him trembled, his hand reaching for a comms panel. We have to warn the fleets. Relthar turned, his eyes locking onto the terrified junior officer. No, there is nowhere to hide, don't you see? They have already declared war. As if on cue, another signal came through, an open broadcast, screaming across every channel in the galaxy. The human voice returned, now filled with an iron resolve. We asked for peace. You gave us war. You invaded our home, you killed our people, and you had the arrogance to call it order. Now the humans of Earth will bring balance. For every world of ours you burned, we will burn one of yours. The voice paused, letting the threat hang in the silence. You called us primitive. You called us weak. Let's see what primitives can do. The council chamber exploded into chaos. The Galactic Council's capital, a jewel in the void, had never known fear. Its silver cities, its sky-piercing towers, all watched over by 1,000 silent satellites, stood as a testament to centuries of unchallenged power. No enemy had ever dared to breach their sacred space. Until today. Suddenly, deep space sensors shrieked to life across the system. Red lights flashed and alarms blared. Hundreds of unknown signals had just blinked into existence at the very edge of the star. Commanders, their faces etched with confusion, rushed to their consoles. Identify those ships now, a general's voice boomed across the command bridge. An officer, his hands trembling over the controls, replied, his voice barely a whisper. They're not council ships, sir. The signatures are unknown, but they match fragments we recovered from the human wreckage. The general froze, the color draining from his face. Humans, he muttered in disbelief. Just then, the alarms escalated to a frantic, full-throated scream. Out of the silent darkness, the human fleet emerged. Their engines burned a fierce, defiant blue. Their hulls were a patchwork of broken alien metal, salvaged and reforged. Some ships bore the deep scars of the invasion of Earth, proud wounds that told a story of survival. Others were entirely new, brutalist designs forged from the hard-won lessons of a devastating war. At the heart of this vengeful fleet flew a massive flagship, its very presence a promise of retribution. It was aptly named the Retribution. On its bridge stood Captain Mira Hale, the same woman who had single-handedly destroyed the Council's lunar staging ground. Her face was a mask of calm determination. Her voice, when she spoke, was as steady as steel. Begin transmission. Across the entire star system. On every Council frequency, her message echoed. This is Captain Hale of Earth's unified fleet. You came to our world without warning. You brought fire to our cities and left us with nothing but ash and ghosts. You left us no choice. We are here to return the favor. On the Council homeworld, leaders watched the transmission in stunned silence. Ambassador Relthar, a being accustomed to diplomatic pleasantries, trembled before the main holoscreen. We must establish communication. Open a channel. They can't just attack. A panicked voice cut him off. They already are, sir. Outside, the serene black sky was torn apart by searing beams of plasma. One by one, the defense satellites, those symbols of invincibility, erupted into silent, fiery blossoms. The human ships moved with a predatory grace, their movements fast, unpredictable, and utterly alien to Council tactics. A junior commander yelled in frustration, "How did they learn our strategies? It's like they're reading our playbook." The sky of the Council's capital world was no longer a canvas of stars, but a raging inferno of fire. Human ships, like silent predators, circled the atmosphere. Any defense tower that dared to fire back was silenced in mere seconds. This wasn't war. It was a storm, a cleansing fire. From the window of the Grand Council Hall, Ambassador Relthar watched the apocalypse unfold. The orange glow of burning cities danced across his scales. He whispered to himself, his voice trembling. They told us humans were emotional. Now I see it. Their rage. It has the power to burn worlds. Behind him, the chamber was a whirlwind of chaos. Councilors, once so composed, were now a frantic mess, shouting over each other. Some screamed for surrender, others for a final glorious revenge, and many just pleaded for escape. But there was no escape. The human fleet had woven a web around their world, blocking every possible exit. The air was thick with despair. Suddenly, the massive main doors of the chamber burst open. A young officer, breathless and pale, stumbled in. "Sir, a human ship has just entered low orbit. They're sending ground units." A chilling silence fell over the room. All eyes turned to Relthar. He turned slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. "They're landing?" he asked, the words barely escaping his lips. "Yes, sir," the officer confirmed, his voice shaking. "Dropships, thousands of them." And on the planet's surface, the sky roared. It wasn't thunder, but the sound of metal pods slamming into the ground, each one a harbinger of doom. From every pod, soldiers emerged, clad in dark, imposing armor, the emblem of Earth shining proudly on their shoulders. They moved with a terrifying precision, a silent, disciplined force cutting through the chaos. Their mission was clear and absolute: secure the Council headquarters. Panic erupted across the city like a wildfire. Civilians scrambled for the underground tunnels, their screams swallowed by the noise of destruction. Alien soldiers, brave but outmatched, tried to mount a defense, but the humans were like ghosts. They moved through the shadows, never staying in one place, their shots finding their targets with lethal accuracy. Hidden deep within a secret bunker, one alien leader watched the devastation on his monitors. His name was Vakar, a former admiral who had once stood before the Council and warned them against this very path. He had told them not to provoke the sleeping giant that was humanity. Now, as his world turned to ash, he made a desperate choice. He opened a secure private communication line. "Human fleet," he spoke, his voice steady despite the fear clutching his heart. "This is Admiral Vakar of the Council. I wish to talk." For what felt like an eternity, there was only the crackle of static. The sky above the Council world burned again, but this time the fire wasn't human. Every radar screamed in unison as hundreds of unknown ships materialized in orbit. Their design was unnerving, black metal forged into sharp, aggressive angles, with glowing red cores that pulsed like a monstrous heartbeat. They sent no warnings. No declarations. They just opened fire. Human and alien ships, enemies just moments ago, were torn apart with equal brutality. For a fleeting, horrifying moment, their animosity dissolved, replaced by a single shared identity: targets. On the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution, Captain Mira Hale stood frozen, a statue in the heart of chaos. Her officer's voice cut through the din, strained with panic. "Those aren't council ships, ma'am. The energy readings are completely unknown." Mira's eyes narrowed to slits. "Put them on screen." The holographic display flickered, showing the alien fleet advancing with terrifying speed. Red beams of energy lanced out, slicing through everything in their path: ships, orbital stations, even the cities on the planet below. In seconds, the combined might of the human and council fleets near the planet was reduced to a graveyard of twisted metal. A hushed, fearful whisper echoed on the bridge. "Who are they?" Mira clenched her fist, her knuckles white. Not human, not council. Something else. Down on the surface, in a fortified bunker, Ambassador Relthar and Admiral Vekar watched the same horrifying spectacle paint the sky. The heavens burned for the second time in their lives. "What have you done?" Relthar roared, turning on Vekar. Vekar shook his head, his face a mask of dread. "This isn't us. This is what I tried to warn you about." Relthar's voice trembled, the rage draining away, replaced by pure terror. "What are they?" "They call themselves the Varn Dominion," Vekar said, his voice barely a whisper. "Ancient conquerors. They vanished thousands of years ago. Until now." He looked past the ambassador, his eyes finding Mira Hale, who had just entered the bunker. "They used us," he confessed, his voice heavy with the weight of revelation. "They pushed the Council to attack Earth. They engineered this entire war, to weaken both of our civilizations before they returned." Mira's jaw tightened. The anger was a cold, hard knot in her stomach. So we were all just pawns in their game. Above them, another series of explosions thundered, making the very ground beneath their feet shake violently. A massive council cruiser, crippled and burning, fell from the sky. It broke apart as it descended, its fiery remains crashing into the already devastated city like a meteor shower from hell. Mira looked at the burning horizon, at the smoke and fire that now consumed a world that wasn't hers. "If we don't fight together," she said, her voice ringing with cold certainty, "none of us will survive." The bridge of the Retribution fell silent. Captain Mira Hale stood frozen, staring at the empty transmission screen. The Varn Overmind's voice, a chilling echo in her mind, had just delivered the ultimate blow. "We have already begun on your homeworld." The word caught in her throat, a choked whisper. "Earth?" Her first officer, his face a mask of shock and fear, turned to her. "Captain," he pleaded, "what do we do?" Mira's gaze drifted to the viewport. Out in the blackness, the enemy's Dominion flagship was a wounded beast, burning and broken, but still very much alive. A cold fury settled over her. She clenched her fists, her knuckles white. "We end this now." Her voice, suddenly steel, crackled as she opened a channel to the entire joint fleet. "All ships, prepare for an immediate jump to the Sol system. The Varn are attacking Earth. We go home." A silent, unified command rippled through the cosmos. Hundreds of ships, both human and alien, turned as one. A symphony of roaring engines filled the void, and in a breathtaking flash of blue light, they vanished into the swirling tunnel of hyperspace. The journey was instantaneous. They arrived, and there it was, Earth. Hanging before them, a precious jewel of blue and white, beautiful and fragile. But it was surrounded by a suffocating darkness. A swarm of Varn ships like locusts filled the sky, raining down relentless fire upon the oceans and cities below. The planet was bleeding. Mira's voice, raw with emotion but firm with command, broke through the comms. "All units, engage, protect the planet." The humans charged first. A wave of fighters like vengeful angels streaked through the atmosphere, their cannons tearing into the Varn ships, turning them into blossoming fireballs. Our alien allies followed close behind, their massive cruisers forming protective energy shields above the major cities, a testament to the alliance forged in fire. It was absolute chaos, a maelstrom of light and death. But in that chaos, there was a strange, beautiful unity. Relthar's command ship, a behemoth of alien engineering, suddenly moved to block a devastating blast from a Varn destroyer meant for the retribution. His voice, a gravelly rumble, came over the radio. "You humans fight with a madness I cannot comprehend," he said, a note of awe in his tone. "But it seems to work." Mira allowed herself a grim smirk. "Welcome to humanity, Relthar." Down on the ground, Earth's armies fought with everything they had. Old battle-scarred tanks rumbled alongside plasma weapons scavenged and reverse-engineered from alien wrecks. Secret labs unleashed experimental railguns, their slugs punching clean through Varn armor. Every soldier, every civilian with a weapon knew the stakes. This was the last stand. If they lost here, there would be no more worlds to save. No more tomorrows. Then a shadow fell over the world. From the clouds, the Dominion flagship descended, a mountain of black steel that blotted out the sun. The sky wasn't just dark, it was blotted out. A storm of shadows, the black ships of the Varn Dominion, filled every inch of the viewport. Their energy beams were like razors, slicing through the void, tearing apart everything in their path. For the first time in history, human and alien ships flew wing to wing, fighting side by side. But even together, we were barely holding on. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Mira Hale stood like a statue carved from steel. Her voice never wavered. "Hold formation. Focus fire on their front line." But the chaos was overwhelming. Her tactical officer yelled over the explosions. "Captain, we've lost the right flank. Council Fleet 3 is gone." Mira's jaw tightened. The loss was a hammer blow, but she couldn't show it. "Not now. Pull the wounded ships back. Reform the line. No one fights alone." Through the main screen, the sky burned a hellish red. Human ships and alien cruisers, vessels that were enemies just months ago, now exploded together. Each sacrifice was a desperate, fleeting moment, buying just a few precious seconds against the Varn's relentless advance. Then silence. The Dominion ships stopped firing. They just hung there, a fleet of silent, menacing ghosts. The sudden quiet was more terrifying than the battle. "What's happening? Why did they stop?" a young pilot asked over the comms, his voice trembling. Before anyone could even guess, the main holoscreen flickered to life. A face appeared, filling the bridge with its terrifying presence. It wasn't human. It wasn't any alien species we knew. It looked ancient, forged from metal and shadow, with two glowing red eyes that seemed to stare into your very soul. A deep, cold voice echoed through every ship, every comm channel in the entire fleet. "You fight well, for broken species. But this galaxy belongs to us again." Mira stepped forward, her gaze locked on the screen. "Identify yourself." The voice was patient, like a teacher speaking to a child. "I am the overmind of the Varn Dominion. You call yourselves the Council and humanity. You are nothing but our children, creations that have forgotten their masters." A wave of shock rippled through every command center. On the Council's flagship, the alien commander Vekar's furious voice roared over the channel. "He's lying. It's a trick." But the overmind ignored him, its voice cutting through the denial. "Your histories are false. We made you. The Council races, the humans, both born from our experiments eons ago. We left you to grow, to fight amongst yourselves, to prepare. And now, your purpose is complete. You are ready to serve." The transmission ended. Absolute silence. The only sound was the low hum of burning reactors and the groans of damaged hulls.